So I.
So you're gonna take your daughter? Sure. Do you want to?
It doesn't, I just figured that's what was the plan anyway.
Are you going to take your daughter? You want to go with me?
Yeah, this is,
I don't know where you're watching.
it's been a while, man. That's Jason Moore. Together sometime.
Actually, those are just back.
Yeah, they're I know.
What's up, bud?
Ryan's kids just got there.
So as we come into the chapel, can we have everyone stand, please?
Okay. It's gonna be close. We can maybe cram everybody in set. We're gonna bring in some more chairs too for you guys. Oh. We're just getting a few more chairs. All right, can everybody hear me okay? Echo. Thank you all for coming today to celebrate my mom. It had to be rainy and stormy on my mom's day of celebration. Much like our life, we had our ups and downs, but the sun will rise again. It'll be good. So thank you for coming. If I don't make eye contact with you, don't get offended. But we'll get this started, and it's been a long couple of weeks, and Mom fought really hard, but it's a good time. This is a great day. I'm going to ask Aunt Pat if she could do the opening prayer for us, and then I will just read the eulogy, basically the children and everything as written. And then we have a couple of speakers coming up. I'm going to put myself at the end. I wrote this little silly story so I could read that. I'm going to have to read it because there's no way I'm going to get through it. So, and then at the end, if we'll just, Carrie wanted to make sure it was important that if anyone else wanted to get up and say something, you can stand and say it. You come up front and say it, whatever you feel. If you don't, then we'll conclude the ceremonies. And Gwen, is gonna do, the closing prayer. And then, after this service, we're gonna go, to Salina, is it Pioneer Cemetery?
I need to try to, I'll be there like right at 2 because we don't have much time.
So it's gonna be at 2 o'clock if you're gonna be there. I have a couple of just simple umbrellas. I don't know if it's gonna be raining on us. That would be great. We need the rain and the water, so it's good for you. So, I figure we should get this started, and, Pat, could you please help us with the opening prayer?
This may take a minute for me to get through. Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the influence that Lynda gave us in her life, that she loved us, and helped us and taught us. We are thankful that she was allowed to be in our lives to guide us. We pray that we know death is but a graduation into a higher celestial glory. We are thankful for the family that helped her through the veil on both sides. That she lives, and she still loves, and she still grows and learns, and she will progress into even a higher celestial kingdom. We pray for thy spirit to be with thee and thy families as they want, that their grief is not long, that they turn their grief to laughter and joyous memories of the fun times. That we remember all the victims and ramble in hurt men. We ask thy spirit be with us, that it be wrapped around us and comfort us and guide us through this hard time. And help us to travel safely and place Lynda in her own resting place, that she may move on with her work and continue to be happy and enjoy her reunion with her family. Bless us all for your sake. We say these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, that was amazing. Okay, so I'm just gonna read through the eulogy real quick, and then we'll start with a couple of speakers, and then we'll just go on from there. So Lynda LeVon Oriole was born April 12, 1948 in Salina, Utah. She passed on December 28, 2022 in Payson. She had loving people around her, physically and spiritually. She was born to Clifford Donald and Leona Gwen Erickson Oriole. She was the sister of Donald Oriole. She was married to Pat, so amazing. David Oriole and Aunt Deanne and Gwen Oriole. She was a great mother to Dusty, and he's with Serena, Lonnie, James, Carrie, and Jeff. She loved her grandchildren, Jaden, Nikki, Dusty, Christopher, Ashley, Justin, Madison, and Matthew, and her great-grandchildren, Dayton, Hagen, Hannah, Nova, Bexley, Liam, Cohen, Finn, take a deep breath. Cohen. She is preceded in death by our amazing grandpa and our beautiful grandma, and our amazing cousin Hope, her niece. We had a lot of pallbearers selected. I want to thank Dusty and Lonnie and Christopher, Jeff, Matthew, Donnie, Bert, and Zane. We have some honorary ones because we can't have too many, right? We listed obviously Don and David, Hagan, Cohen, Liam, and Finn. So it's an amazing day of celebration. It's good to miss Mom, it's good to be sad, but it's an awesome day because she's in a much better place. And she's having a fantastic reunion with amazing people that went before her. So at this time, I would like Carrie to come up and say what you'd like to say about Mom.
Okay, pass.
You can pass if you want
I'm just
to.
kidding.
I don't know if it's like a deal or no deal. But we can try something.
I didn't write anything down to say about Mom. She told me I'm not allowed to, so I gotta.
Well, you already blew that.
Well, no, I'm stopping. I'm not ugly crying yet. It might be coming. It might be coming, but. No, my mom. I kind of feel like I was blessed and spoiled, and I kind of feel like that I had the best mom ever. Things were never easy for us growing up. Seems like she had 10 times harder than anybody else, but she did it every day. She did it every day. She would go to work so she could take care of us, and she wasn't afraid of anything. Like, we would pack up and start over in a blink of an eye, like if we had to. And we just did it, and she never quit. She never slowed down. She was a fighter for sure. I remember when we were kids, I don't know if James remembers, but Mom worked so hard for so long, and there was about like 8 months, 9 months that she got to be like a stay-at-home mom, and we lived in Arizona. And I swear in that 8 or 9 months, she does what, put a needlepoint, quilting, crocheting, anything she could fit in that like 9 months of being a stay-at-home mom. And then when that 9 months was up, she started working again and going to school to get her nursing degree. And she used to work tirelessly when she did that. She would work long, long hours and go to school for the hours she wasn't. I don't know when she slept. I have no idea. But she did it. I mean, she had set her mind to it. That's the one thing. When she set her mind to something, she accomplished whatever it was. And I was fortunate enough to have her with me while I raised my kids. And after all my grandkids started being born, she was very close to all my grandkids. And I feel like we're the lucky ones. I don't know, I'm glad that she's not suffering and hurting and in pain anymore. And I'm glad that she's back with Grandma and Grandpa. Family. I'm sure that her and Hope have had a great time. Because they'll be trying to talk at the same time, and they probably work Grandma and Grandpa out while they're talking back and forth with each other. And I just know that we're all gonna miss her, but I'm just glad that she's moved on to a better place. Thank you, guys.
Good job. When she said she worked tirelessly, that's no joke. My mom worked so hard. So we're gonna mix it up just a little bit. We're gonna have her boo come up, and Matthew's gonna say what he feels about Mom. And if you'd like to come on up, Matthew. And no, you can't pass. I'm just kidding.
Mulligan, take a mulligan.
Yeah,
Or that's
right.
two of them, so we haven't done that. So.
Grandma loved everyone here so much.
I remember I would sit with her and her favorite thing to do was to talk about all of her family with everyone here. She cherished each and every one of you with her whole heart. And she was the best grandma I could have ever had. She cared so much about me and my siblings, and she always made time for us. And she always made sure that we all felt loved and taught us everything she could. And she was always there for us no matter what happened, no matter what anyone did. She always cared for everyone. She always loved everyone. And even towards the end, she always cared about everyone else before herself. She always wanted to make sure that everyone else was okay and everyone else was safe. She was so selfless and so amazing. She loved all of us and cared for all of us so much. And she would want all of us to do the same for each other
And not cry.
and not cry. She didn't want us to cry. She wanted us to be happy that she was with Grandma and Grandpa. And she wanted us to celebrate her life. Thank you.
I did forget to say something. She wanted me to learn how to crochet and sew.
Yeah.
And I was so stubborn, I wouldn't do it, and so she made Buddha learn.
Yeah.
I fed him to the wolves in that sense. So he took over in that area, so anybody needs blankets, I need to talk to Buddha.
Good.
He's got you.
I have a story about that later. My mom loved all of Carrie's children. She had a soft spot for Matthew. Her boo. I know she was struggling once and she needed somebody to help take care of her, and I think it was the summertime. I don't even know what year, but Matthew could have been doing anything. It's summertime, you're out of school, you could have, be with friends or goof off, or it's your summertime, you're out of school, you're having a good time. But he chose to spend the summer with my mom and help take care of her.
That was because he wanted Denny's in the middle of the night.
Possibly. But she made sure to acknowledge you for that, and she really appreciated that.
She taught him how to paint the apartment.
She did?
Yeah.
That's the summer I painted the whole apartment, and that was for the most part why we would go to Denny's at 3 in the morning, because she would work from 11 to 11, and then I would paint for a couple hours after she got home, and then it would be like 3, 4 in the morning when we'd go to Denny's.
Was that Karate Kid style? Teaching you how to like down, side to side?
Yeah, even coats, primer, whole night.
Well, good. I appreciate you for that. Thank you so much. And, so I'm not as good. I know I'm kind of a storyteller. Easy, Tony. Yeah, I got you. See you. So I'm gonna read this story I wrote. I didn't really have a lot of time to put it together, and I had sat down with David, and obviously Deanne didn't want to visit with me at the time, so she slept the whole time I was there. Appreciate that. I'm just kidding. But it was fun visiting with David, and he told me some stories about my mom when she was younger, and I'm going to share a couple of things with you today. And if I had a little more time, I'd be all cool. I'm a technology guy. I would have like a little slideshow, right, with pictures, but I don't really have time to do that. So, no fact checking. What I'm saying here may not be factually accurate or chronologically accurate, but it was a story that came out of my mind. And to me, it's 100% accurate. So, yeah, afterwards. Lynda was born in Salina, but spent some of her early life in Nevada. Her father, Cliff, helped manage ranches near Baker and Great Basin. I was there, it's beautiful. I don't know if you've been to Lehman Caves, but it's amazing. You come off Lehman Caves and they have like a ranch exhibit there. He was telling me like from his memory what the area looked like, and I've been there. It's an amazing thing if you haven't been to Lehman Caves. Anyway, with her mom pregnant, grandma was pregnant with Gwen, and her dad being handling ranch stuff. She had the tough challenge of helping raise her two younger brothers, two hoodlums. This was a different time in America. Oftentimes, children were tasked with being like surrogate parents, but she had to be kind of like a mother to them too, because obviously grandma was traveling, and she just had to help take care, and that's how David described it. So taking motherly care of David and Don, making sure they had what they needed and food to eat. Apparently, they had egg sandwiches in their school lunches almost every day, like 90% of the time, which is good because I like eggs too. So must have got that from them. So
Really got her mashed potato bread.
yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But they had access to chickens, so that's what they did. They used the resources they had. It was a different time. It was such a different time that their house had no TV or no electricity. The only time that they got power when the bar, which was a mile away, would fire up the generators at night when they opened the bar, and then apparently the house had power. Could you imagine that? Just not having power, and then you had to wait till the freaking bar opened to have power? It's crazy to think about that. But when they did have power, they enjoyed listening to KOMA radio out of Oklahoma City. And Dave described it as like a 20s era where you didn't have TV, you didn't have a lot going on, but the radio's on, you kind of sit around the radio and you're listening apparently to country western music, and that's different than country music, just so you guys know. It was a simpler life focused on family activities. You relied on each other for entertainment because that's all you had was each other. You didn't have the internet and all this other jazz we got now. But she loved her two brothers very much. And I know my mom used to talk about their times together. But when Grandpa and Grandma were away, these hoodlums that they left enjoyed playing a game called Postman. Apparently, Lynda would drive a tractor down the road, and Dave and Don would jump off the tractor and deliver hubcaps. And I'm assuming like delivering mail, or like some UPS driver or something. But it sounds a little sketchy and unsafe, but it fits our family well. And it sounds like a good time to me. And I want to do that before I die. So tractor, I want a tractor, somebody's got to drive it. The school in Baker, Nevada was really small. It had 2 rooms, but all the students were in the same room from 1st grade to 8th grade. When you left the 8th grade, you had to either go to Ely, Delta, or Salina to continue your education, because that was it. And so sometimes in those days, that would mean like a brother would go stay with an aunt where there was a town that had a school that could handle them. But in this case, they were fortunate enough to move back to Salina, and that avoided having to split the family up, which I think was really important. And David, thank you for those memories. I have never heard those stories before, and I was glad to share. Lynda would eventually start a family of her own, and she had 4 children. Dusty was born in 66, Lonnie in 69, the best one, James was in 73, and the spoiled one, my mom's favorite, in 78, Carrie. 78?
37.
When did Rocky come out? Can we fact check that?
There's 2 things that you were wrong about there. 77 is the year I was born, and you were her favorite.
No. I am correcting this now. And like I said earlier, no fact checking. Appreciate you listening. But gosh, we're getting so freaking old. I mean.
Well, geez, I was a year younger. I don't know why I spoke up. You made me a year younger.
I know. But we're getting so old, and it's amazing, but it's just crazy. But we have a whole younger generation coming up, and it's going to be great. Sorry. Lynda was such a beautiful young lady. In some of her later teen pictures, she definitely embraced the beehive hairdo. I don't know if you saw the slideshow. It was like, I can't even reach how tall it was. As children, we became accustomed to seeing the largest can of Aquanet on the planet at any given time. Anybody in here have that experience? I mean, the can was like this tall. I think it was white. It was ridiculous.
Right, so much you were eating it.
Yeah, but thankfully, the younger kids won't get this joke, but thankfully the ozone layer has recovered from the Aqua days, Aqua Net days. Because that was a big thing, like hairspray, spray paints killing the ozone. Guess what? It didn't kill it, so it healed it up. You guys learn about the ozone, kids, as they go to school. Yeah. Apparently that was something my mom said Pat always had remembered about her, was the hair and the makeup when she first met her.
She always did her hair. First
Yeah,
thing in the morning, put her makeup on, proceeded to do housework and take care of kids. Got beautiful to take care of the house.
it's too funny, but she, I remember the FaceTime she did with you and she told you that story. I also talked to Dave a little bit about how mom was a traveler. And he said it was much like Grandma Clower. He described it as having itchy feet, like you just couldn't stay planted and you were constantly moving. We lived in many houses, but she always managed to make it a home. Her nomadic tendencies would take her family all over. Arizona to Utah, Utah to New Mexico, and eventually she returned to Utah, which is her home. Like her, most of her children have migrated back to Utah, except for Dusty. As kids, there was no Disneyland trips for us. We didn't have a lot of money, but we made do, much like when my mom was younger. We just made do with what we had. Vacations was playing basketball or doing whatever we're doing. I mean, if we were fortunate enough to get presents, we were happy.
We got to come to Utah once a year usually for a reunion.
So that's while other people are going to Disneyland and going to all this stuff, so our vacation was, hey, we're going to see grandma and everybody in 2 weeks. So we look forward to that. And I know those are some of my most fond memories as a youth. I have fond memories of all my cousins. We always had a good time, and we're always happy to see each other, and it was just instant, like we'd never been apart. At Gwen's house once, I just want to throw that out there. I don't know what we did wrong, but she was really, really mad. And she was like, "You are just lucky it's me out here, and you guys need to settle down." I don't remember what we were doing, but it was at Gwen's house, and I remember that. Thank you, Deanna. You're welcome. Sometimes Grandma would have to send us gas money just so we could come and visit. I mean, that's how tight our money was. And she would ask my mom, "Hey, we really want to see you guys. You need to come up." And mom would be like, "Oh, in between bills, I just don't know if I can make it." She was usually the sole income provider for our family. So Grandma would send us gas money so we can make the trip. And that's something that I think all of us kids will always cherish and forever be grateful of. But honestly, putting 4 kids and a cat in a 1980 Camaro wasn't the most comfortable way to travel. And seating went by seniority, and I don't know why the 3rd child always got to ride the hump. Just so you know, I didn't really like that. Although I think Carrie slept in the window, like the back window.
Yeah,
So,
the door always got shut on my foot, on my ankle every time too.
oh my gosh. So, but I didn't like that seniority at all. Anyway, we would always travel at night. I think Mom found it easier for her if we left in the evening and drove through the night, and then we'd usually get to Grandma's in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, because we're all sleeping and she didn't have to hear us.
Yeah, we had to stop 50 times to
Exactly.
pee. Oh, I didn't even include that part. That's great. All these other stories are coming to mind. In the 70s and 80s, Lynda had an knack for working and managing service stations from Budget Fuel in Payson to Chevron and Maverick in New Mexico. She got to meet so many people and hear their stories. And fortunately, we got to receive a lot of expired chocolate bars because, she's managing the inventory and these chocolate bars are expired. And for reals, you would open it up and it'd be like a piece of chalk. It's supposed to be brown chocolate and it's white chalky. Yeah, we still ate them. I don't know. It was terrible. But she would occasionally have the opportunity to help travelers that were in a pinch. She had a deep empathy for people, especially ones in need of assistance. This calling of service was a common theme in my mom's life. As many of our family are in the medical field, my mom earned her nursing degree in 1992. She was almost an RN, but she did it. Having been out of school since the 60s, it was not easy for her. I can remember her relying on us to help her with lessons and studying, because she really didn't know how to be a student anymore. It was really hard to get back into that groove. And traveling from Tucumcari to Clovis for school was definitely a challenge. That was really hard on her. And I remember she eventually got a trailer over there so she could actually stay there instead of having to drive that big commute. It was one of her greatest accomplishments in her life. She was really proud of that, and so were we. In New Mexico, I believe she worked at the Tucumcari Hospital. She may have spent some time in a nursing home, don't fact check me. She became a home health nurse, so she would travel to help people in their homes. And it was usually elderly people, so this strengthened her gift of service. It allowed her to spend quality time with older folks who didn't have a lot going on in their life. It was bittersweet, as you know, at that point, sometimes they pass on. But her loving energy got transferred to them as they transitioned in life, and I think that was a blessing. Some may view that as a burden, but obviously I view that as a blessing. She would eventually return to Utah, and I believe, following the footsteps of her mother, she worked at the Utah State Hospital until her retirement. And I know she was really proud to work where grandma worked.
Yeah.
That's Aunt Bartleen, that little mumble. Lynda was a woman of many talents. I believe most things were rooted in a simple upbringing. If you can't afford to buy something, learn how to make something. For her children's life, she had to play the role of mom and dad often. She was especially good at crafts, cooking, and sewing. She was a true artist and craftsman. My mom's penmanship was outstanding. I can remember her experimenting with calligraphy at some point, and I thought that was the most beautiful writing ever. She passed that gift of artistry on to some of us, not me, but she passed it on to Lonnie for sure. Her artistic mind allowed her to create many amazing things. I think I have this on a slideshow. Her love of cooking was strongly rooted in a survival thing of sorts, and by that I mean just simple things, potatoes and hamburger. We always had a pot of pinto beans and fresh homemade tortillas. I remember she would make them on Sundays, and then that's what we would have during the week. So I can also remember her religiously roasting and peeling green chilies to freeze them for later because we all enjoyed Mexican cuisine. But don't ever offer to help with that because your hands will be on fire, I promise you. And she would sit there and peel these chilies like nothing, no gloves. But it was definitely hot, and it was definitely a labor of love. But her love of cooking, she would often receive appliances as gifts, and I know a lot of mothers in here can relate to that. And as children, we were punished, blessed, with having several consecutive meals made with this cooking device. One example I could think of is she got a waffle maker. What the heck's a waffle maker? I never heard of a waffle maker, really? Well, we got one. Well, guess what? She thought it was so exciting to fill the whole freezer full of waffles. So how convenient. You could just drop them in the toaster, and she was trying to sell us like she was some waffle salesman.
Remember the sugar cookie maker thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to sound too bougie, that's a word, but you can only eat so many waffles. Apparently, I could eat a lot. One time she got a wok. Woks are amazing, right? You can throw out some stir fry. Oh yeah, chicken stir fry again, every day for an entire month. How many different ways can you make it? It's the same ingredients. Sarcasm aside, we were all very blessed with her love of cooking, and she was great at baking cakes. And I know several of our family members, it's a family trait, because our family is so good at baking. But we're blessed, one of us maybe too blessed, because damn, I was such a chubby kid for so friggin' long. Still chubby. She was an above average seamstress. As young children, we got to be models for her creations. We never had much money, so making clothes was an obvious solution. And talking to Pat, back then it was a lot easier because for the price of a shirt, you could make several items. because you're using the raw materials. It was a lot cheaper back then. Today, it's a little bit of a different story. She had a love of crocheting and quilting. Her greatest gifts were true labors of love. Some of us will be forever recipients of her crafted blessings. Some of us still have a pile of old Levi's sitting in our basement, just waiting for our turn to have a Levi quilt made.
You want the restaurant? You want the restaurant?
Yeah, I have a pile like this tall. You can't see it back there, but it's tall. It's like 3 feet tall.
We could totes full of them in the garage. probably.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but I'm gonna just start cutting patterns out of it someday, and apparently Buddha's gonna teach me how to make a quilt. So we're gonna make a quilt out of it someday. Or we're gonna have to hire it out. Thanks, Mom, for leaving me with all these old advice. She had a love of Western culture. She loved the music genre. She loved bluegrass, country and Western, classic country, outlaw country, and 90s country. Those are all different countries, by the way. They're different music. She loved cowboys, Indians, horses, and the Old West. I can remember her just geeking out. She loved a good, old-fashioned Western movie, and I loved watching them with her. Lonnie and I had the privilege of having my mom come and stay with us for a while, so I got to watch all these old Westerns that I hadn't seen in so long, but it brought so much joy to her. And the Last Alaskans, I don't know what's up with the reality stuff, but she freaking loved that show. She knew all the characters and knew how they were related.
Well, Chelsea, 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I ever heard. Yes, all of that.
But it was a blessing that we got to spend some great time with her. She not only had a natural ability to bond and care for people, she had a true love of animals. As children, we were exposed to many pets and animals: birds, cats, dogs, fish, horses, and many farm animals. Like when we lived in the White House up on the corner, we had basically a farm when we moved in. A blind turkey, that's weird. We had a blind turkey, we had ducks, we had an ornery rooster that apparently attacked me whenever I walk outside. I'm still in therapy over that. Some of the pets that we got over time were from clients and patients. We were only going to foster them until she could find them a home. Apparently, fostering takes forever because they just became our forever pets and her forever pets. And later in life, some of these pets became her constant companions. She sure loved her Daisy and Yoshi, and I would have wrote 20 other names if I could, but those two came to mind when I wrote this little story. In her retirement, my sister Carrie and Jeff really stepped up to make sure Mom was taken care of. It's all fun and games. I can never express how grateful I am for that. My mom loved Carrie's children and their children so much. I know our family can be a bit, I'm going to quote, salty. I don't know what's up with the air quotes today, but that's what we're doing. We can be a little bit salty towards each other at times, but ultimately true love wins out. I truly believe that. Thank you, Carrie and Jeff, and your amazing children for everything.
She deserves so much more.
I know. This one's hard.
Have it every year.
No, I got it. Hey, Gwen, thank you for spending time with Mom.
And everything to her.
She called me one day. I was like, holy cow, Mom's in the freaking ICU unit. And she's calling me on my phone. I'm like, oh, hey, Mom, is everything okay? And she was so excited, and her voice was high-pitched. I don't know if you've probably had experiences where Mom was just giddy and like just excited. And she was so excited that her Sally had spent so much time with her. And I guess Gwen was with her. And they were looking up genealogy for me. I had some questions about my family. In reality, it was probably only a couple of hours, but the way Mom talked, it seemed like it was a forever moment. It was a priceless moment for her. Later, she told me it meant a lot to her that you two reconnected. Thank you for that, Gwen. My mom loved you and she was so proud of you. It's getting harder. It's really hard to write up a short story about someone's life. It hardly does any justice. The joys that they brought, the sacrifices that they made, and the struggles that they overcame. But here we are, the Oriole clan together on this day of celebration of my mother, our mother. Was my mom perfect? Nope. Are any of us perfect? Nope. Maybe Matthew, who's close. The rest of us, Dylan, I mean, there's several that are really close, everyone. There's a lot of perfect people in my eyes. But none of us can really say that. But her love for the Oriole family, her children, her grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and all the extended families, I know she loved you. That was perfect. I do know that. Lynda has fulfilled her purpose on earth. Her children are still alive, and all have the ability to thrive in an ever-changing world. We all have a little bit of our mom in us. Maybe it's her unrelenting work ethic, her amazing artistry, her thirst for knowledge, or her unmatched compassion for animals and people. I like to think that all of us possess some of those qualities, and I think she passed it on to others that she ran into. But here we are, we're left to carry on, to care for each other, to truly love each other, and I mean that, to make this world a better place. It's going to be over soon, so everybody take a deep breath. I'm trying really hard. My mom loved this family with all of her heart. I didn't have time to itemize a bunch of names, but the Orioles, the Ericksons, and all the extended families that are here to celebrate my mom. In my opinion, the Orioles are the salt of the earth people, strong mountain people, amazing and pure people, from the oldest to the youngest. We all have unique skills and abilities that make each and every one of us great in our own respect. And I know my mom recognized that, as she said that often. May Lynda LaVon Oriole thrive in the afterlife with the joy and the peace she has earned. And as Nicole said to me, imagine the reunion she is having right now. She's with Grandpa and Grandma and Aunt Arlene and Hope and everyone. And I wanted to say thank you, Mom, for everything that you've done for me personally and for all of us. And that's basically my short, long story. I shared something with David, and I think it's important to share it with you guys. And I'm gonna focus really hard, and we're gonna get through this because it was something amazing. Sorry, one second. It's just water, there's nothing in it. I haven't kind of been a slacker with the church. I haven't really been to church very often. I'm not super apologetic about it, but I would like to bear my testimony today. That's something that happened to me that was, in my opinion, very incredible. And I can't explain why, but it was real to me. So on the 28th, that's the day my mom passed. I had a busy day. And I've been thinking about my mom and my family a lot. So I needed to spend some time away to decompress. So I spent the day with friends. We went to a movie. Avatar's great. Take a pillow. But I didn't get home until later. And Dusty was racing to get up here from New Mexico because we knew my mom did not have a lot of time left. We weren't sure. But I didn't get home until late. Lonnie and I had a discussion, and we decided that we were going to just go up first thing early in the morning. We're just having some struggles, so we're just trying to make sure that we have everything taken care of. Dusty was already here, and he was at Carrie's house with Mom. I sat down in my bedroom, and I don't know why, but I was super exhausted, and I fell into it deeply. After some time, Lonnie woke me up. I don't know what it was, but he needed something, and I helped him and assisted him, and then I just went and sat back down. I wasn't sleepy at this time, but for some reason, I just closed my eyes. I just leaned forward and I closed my eyes. An image of my mom in her bed came, and the house was empty. It was dark. I kind of walked around the corner and I saw the room where my mom was in, and it was kind of dimly lit. And I walked into the room. Grandpa was at the foot of her bed. He didn't acknowledge my presence. I was looking at my mom. He was looking at my mom. Her eyes were closed. And he said, "It's time." There was a pause. I didn't know what to do. He said, "Lynda, it's okay to let go." And I looked at Grandpa and he wouldn't look at me. And I looked at my mom and she smiled. Instantly my eyes opened. I felt the rush come over me. I've been thinking about my mom a lot, so I just figured it was that I had some overcoming emotion. I was really thirsty all of a sudden. I took a deep breath. I went in the kitchen to get some water. When I returned to my room, which was only a couple minutes, not even that, my phone rang. I looked and it was Dusty. I'm like, oh, he's gonna tell me that he's okay, that Mom, give me an update. But I knew it wasn't that. And I answered the phone and he said, Mom passed a couple of minutes ago. Instantly I said, I felt it. I know. And I thanked him for calling me. And I said, I love you. I don't know why. I don't know why I had that vision, but I believe it to be real. I had to tell somebody. It was a crazy, wild thing. I told Carrie. I told a couple of friends. It gets crazier. The next day, I came down to work with Carrie, and I had brought that up, and Carrie's like, I gotta tell you something. This is insane. Bexley hadn't been told about Mom's passing yet. So Ashley had sat her down so she could tell her. She said it slow because she wasn't sure how she would handle it. She said, Mimi went to heaven. Bexley looked at her and said, I know. Her dada came and got her. She had no knowledge of my conversation. It may have just been some random coincidence, but I believe it's a blessing that I hope we all have the opportunity to have someday. I truly believe that my grandpa came down to get her and take her home. And I believe when it's our time, Grandpa's going to come get us.
That might be Mom.
Or Mom. I'm good, either way. But anyway, I just wanted to share that story with you guys. Sorry for all the blubbering. I tried to get through it.
You're great.
Thank you. So at this time, oh, thank you, Mom, for everything. Amen. Okay, at this time, no pressure. If anybody feels like they have something to say or they would like to say about Mom, you're more than welcome to either stand and say or not. And if not, we'll give it a couple of seconds and then we'll move to the closing prayer. So at this time, if anybody would like to say anything, you're more than welcome to.
I forgot something.
Okay, well, we got time.
I need some information here.
Okay, that's it. We're out of time.
You remember I was asking you about the whole snake story?
Possibly.
Uncle David and Uncle Don.
Say the key word.
When all those, I don't know where you guys live, I assume out in Baker, did you guys used to lock Mom in a bedroom and put snakes through the
No,
doorknob? There's a story that my mom used to say over and over, that she was deathly afraid of snakes.
Sounds guilty.
She blamed you guys for that.
That was all.
An Oreo kid, a hoodlum?
Say just a few things.
Yes, sir.
When Aunt Leona got a little bit upset with her kids, we got to hear their full name. And I remember Ellen Eugene and David Ray pretty often. But I don't
Knew it.
remember Lynda Lamar only a few times.
Oh, that's good.
I think Lynda loved all of her children. And these pictures on the back, especially this little one. That's my memory for her.
Oh, that's amazing.
When she was a girl, she was fun to be around. And she didn't mind mixing it up with boys. And she loved animals, I knew that. And she was close to my own brother. They were 2 days apart. Anyways, I wish I could have been closer to her as she got older. Life moves on and families grow and everything, but I'm glad she's home with her mom and dad.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
sharing. Okay. I wanted to say one more thing. Nicole wasn't getting out of here without me telling her I love her. And Donnie. Nicole had a soft spot in her mom's heart. Nikki, she always talked about Nicole, and she loved you very much. Almost got through it, only cried like 17 times. But I wanted to say thank you, everybody, again, for coming, and thank you for celebrating, because it's a true celebration. She's graduated on. She's in heaven with our family, and they're having fun, and they're reminiscing, and they're going to be watching over us, just like Grandpa and Grandma always watch over us. Now my mom's going to help shoulder that burden. And I do feel like we're blessed to have such an amazing family. And I don't know, I think I've talked way longer than I was supposed to. So, if we don't have any more memories, I would like to invite Gwen to say the closing prayer.
Can I say a word before?
Oh, you can say whatever you want. Yes. As long as you can do it in 27 seconds. I'm just kidding.
I didn't take my watch off because I promised Carrie I would be a
You are.
long drawn thing, but I do need to say a couple of things about Lynda. I salute all 4 of the children and the grandchildren. I know how much she loved you, and she still loves you, and she is your guardian angel. I've seen amazing things over the last month that I haven't been able to see for a long time from her. And the stories are unbelievable, and hopefully we can write more down. Lynda, I think for you grandchildren and great-grandchildren, you need to know, guess where she was baptized? She was baptized at age 8 in an anti-temple. She was not baptized in a regular steakhouse or that. At the time in Salt Lake Tabernacle in Manti, they would take the children from Salina and take them up to Manti to be baptized when they were 8. The only problem was that they didn't always get to take too many family members. And to be there and support them like we now have. And there was about 13 young children in the range from 8 to 10 on that special day that went to the Manti Temple in May of 1956. me to tell you that. Back several years ago, my mom was a 4-H leader, and she taught all the kids and young women in the slime area. And Lynda took her crafts that she made and furthered them down the road. Like we said, her seamstress was unbelievable. And most of her projects that she did under my mom's tutoring went to state. And she had many ribbons, blue. She had sweepstakes for her cooking skills, her sewing abilities. I think they even had some kind of a photo kind of thing. Don and David probably participated in that. But home economics was really big, and I tried to get her to tell me the tortilla recipe the other day. She says tomorrow. Well, tomorrow didn't come for that, to write it down, but
I have it. I'll give it to you.
okay, good. But I too remember her making tortillas, and it wasn't just 8 or 10 to make them through the week. It was hundreds. And she would throw one here and pound over here, and this and throw one here and pound one over there. And she did keep pots of beans going all the time because somebody was going to come hungry. Also, when they lived out in Round Valley, it's called Potts Ranch now. Because my dad was involved with sheep, sometimes mothers and that either did not accept their baby lambs, or their mother would die or become diseased. And so every time they got lambs that were like that, my Aunt Nita, my mom, and Lynda would learn to feed with a big bottle. Actually, that was a strawberry, sorry, I said it was a Round Mountain. But that's not too far from Lehman's Caves either. But so they would name all these lambs, and over a season, they'd have 10 or 12 lambs that they raised from lambs to yearlings, and they fed them, bottle fed them. David, and Don probably knows more about this, but she really was a daddy's girl. And one time she was up in the mountain, and they had a bear. They did get away, but she was scared, right?
Right.
And they were actually, I guess, going to make a bed out of the pine cones and that, and settling down for the night and putting sheet down. And the bear came. Just trying to see some of the things. I was a recipient of many of her clothes until I was 14. Mom would buy the material, and Lynda would make me the newest fashion that was in school. I always had clothes that was a step, and she always made sure they had certain gathers and that. Like you said, crochet. I've got 2 of her afghans, and I can't say. Between her and my mom taught her how to crochet with that 4-H skill, but I'm proud to claim those. The year that Lynda was about old, in the winter of 1948 to 49, they had 15 to 20 foot drifts out by Baker of snow. And my mom and the people that she worked for, they would take and make sandwiches all night for these workers that were keeping the roads open. And then they would get Lynda up to nurse in between, and then they'd put her over and make sure she was eating or playing or somebody was with her, and they would redo the sandwiches all night long. But my mom said Lynda just loved the snow. So whenever they could, they'd take her outside, but it was a really bad snowy year, so that's probably why this year, she didn't want the snow to come so bad, but she's been told that that was the worst winter in Baker, Nevada. And that's right on the state line for those. Okay, my time.
You're good.
One thing that I share with Lynda is we're both nurses. And James kind of hinted on this, but she started her LPN school while I was in Bolivia, and then was kind of stopped, and then she finished again. And like James said, that between Tucumcari and Clovis is about 2 hours back and forth riding. So before she got the trailer for her RN class, she was driving back and forth. And also she worked in home health. And the area they were living in, the houses weren't closed, they were big ranches. And many times she'd find herself at 2 o'clock in the morning out taking care of somebody in hospice or home health that needed somebody. And she would stay for 6-8 hours, sleep for 20 minutes, and get back in the car and go. And then she would go to Amargordo, which is on the Mexican border. And then she'd go to Socorro. So she traveled a lot with her job. And most of that time that traveling, she never got paid for. It was just while she was in the area, while she was actually in their home. And I remember her calling me when she was just about to finish her RN school, and she was having some health problems, and it was getting more expensive, and she still had a scholarship. And she says, I can't live in that trailer anymore, and I can't face looking at the road anymore. I'm gonna drop out. And it was a heartbreaking decision for her, and she was very intelligent. But I remember she just had those 3 classes, and we said, and it wasn't like you could hook on to telehealth now or that. It was, you had to be in class. I do want you children to know that your grandma was a good Cub Scout leader. I'm not sure where Dusty is. Dusty's been under her. And she also taught primary. And in Tucumcari, she was very, very well loved by the members there. And that's when her decision, me and Mom had flown to Albuquerque and drove to Tucumcari. And we spent a lot of time on the road, even Carrie with us. Probably during your graduation. Anyway, now that you did just before that, sorry. Anyway, we went to Amarillo and that, and we had a really good time. But when we got back, she said, my Mom, I've been working really hard. And I know Dad has been working really hard. I'm coming to be filled with you guys. And so she prepared really, really hard. She worked really, really hard. And she was very active down there. And they loved her. They still love her. And she had many friends through the year. And through her different families, outside our family, she had friends that she did their hair, their makeup frequently. You know, if they wanted a new color, she had no training, but they got their hair colored, they got the hair curled, or they were getting married or having a 15th birthday. Then she always made them special. I took 3.5 minutes to carry, sorry. I just want to share this. This has been on her board, on her wall, in every place I went to her. It's one of her favorite poems, sayings. It says, footsteps in the sand, One night I dreamed a dream. I was walking along the beach with my Lord. Across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene, I noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to me and one to my Lord. When that last scene of my life shot before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. There was only one set of footprints. I realized that this was the lowest and saddest times of my life. This always so bothered me, and I questioned the Lord with my dilemma. Lord, you told me when I decided to follow you, you would walk and talk with me all the way. But I'm aware that during the most troublesome times of my life, there is only one set of footprints. I just don't understand why. When I needed you most, you left me. Whispered quietly, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never, ever. During your trials and testings, when you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. And I believe she felt that way. And she loved Heavenly Father, and she knew she was a child of God. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, and that's right.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we're thankful for all our many blessings and for this day and celebration of life of Lynda Lavon Oriole, for her life, her willingness to serve others, and for her family. We ask you that thou would bless their family, that they can achieve peace and comfort in knowing how much she loved them and that she will be watching over them. We're thankful for the gospel. And we ask you that as we travel as a family to Salina, that we might go safely and use good judgment. And these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Quinn.
Okay, family and friends, we'll have everyone stand. After behind the castle, we're going to exit. We'll have time to use the restroom, gather your personal belongings. Those who are heading to the cemetery, you're at the cemetery at 2 o'clock. All bearers will have you follow there.
Lead the way, Daniel.
I was like, I don't know, can we walk? Do they all go?
Have I number the post back? How long ago have you done that? Well, I just noticed on my Facebook, and I'm like, she's back. She pointed like this more than once in the last couple of weeks. I'm curious, they're not happy. We don't have to worry about them. I'm like,
Oh, you're so quiet.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I have so much. Christy wrote me, they called Tracy out, Tracy was gonna come, got all of her clothes ready to come, and they called her out like at midnight last night. Yeah, the snow was bad. Yes, it's really hot. Well, knew about, he said no more of this. Well, Norma, sign yesterday dug up the wrong way. We had to cover it. They dug up somebody else. At least they didn't get her in there. Well, and Arlene, and Arlene, and then a couple, I don't know, in January or February, and that was, oh, it was so horrible, that cold, it was so cold. Yeah. I am, I got food in my car, so I have to take this. Yes. But I got all the food, because we're gonna have night, just come go to my house. Because when Bishop and that, they didn't go, so that's why we changed it by, this is perfect. And he's, anyway, he loves to talk. He's usually a comedian. I was having a hard time because I thought, oh, but he's so good at speaker, but the bishop hardly knew him, so this would help.
Yeah.
I wish I helped. 3 brothers.
Didn't your mom pass away in February too? Yeah, so they were all snow.
This is like at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
You know.
that's what Tracy said. She goes, I don't like these winter funerals. And I said, I don't like them.
Last Thursday,
Yeah, these guys are good.
yes, all of us were there. That's usually.
Like when you guys come, that would be lovely. Christy was feeling so bad. Hey, where's Angela going?
We're going to somewhere right around there.
And they get close to, and then,
Yeah, we're not, it's not too far in that little area, so it's not too far.
I was surprised when I saw that they were moving it, because I thought they liked it. Oh, okay. Sorry for taking more time.
That's the only person that got the name.
You too. Like I said, maybe we should have a cousin's lunch that has nothing to do. Yes.
Oh, there's Patty too! Oh, it's so sorry. She's in a better place. Oh, much better. She's been the last 15 minutes. I don't laugh. Move it over.
Yeah.
He's in the hospital.
Yeah.